Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got 3 stories to share with you in this very latest Moon Lambo hot jam. I'll start with this one from A&B Crypto, titled The Latest on SEC v. Ripple and Why It Might Just Have Either of These Two Endings. And they go into cite some stuff that attorney John Deaton has publicly stated recently that I found fascinating, so I wanted to run through that. Also, the SEC proving their ass hattery, yet again. Look at this headline from Finance Feeds. SEC again postpones decision on 2 Bitcoin ETFs. And I'm just sitting here like, damn, bitch. They're going to say no in the end. It's a virtual certainty as far as I'm concerned, yet they kick the can down the road, waiting as long as they can, delay after delay after delay, and all to say no. Historically, that's how they behaved anyway, so I want to share that with you, some of the specifics, and then I'll wrap up with this story from A&B Crypto. Titled, U.S. Fed Chair Says Cryptocurrencies Unlikely to Disrupt Financial Markets. Well, I'll tell you what, it sure as hell seems to me that the legacy financial system, some of it anyway, actually more so Congress, Gary Gensler, well, maybe not as much Congress, that might be a little bit unfair, there are some good people in Congress, but certainly the SEC and certain individuals at certain government agencies do not want to see the legacy financial system disrupted for their own personal reasons. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just a simple little Moon Lambo doing Moon Lambo stuff all up on the internet, making YouTube crypto videos, but to be clear, that's just a hobby and just for fun. All right, so into this first piece we go. Let's see what attorney John Deaton has to share. It seems that the next update regarding the SEC vs. Ripple Labs lawsuit will come a little later than expected. To be specific, the court granted both parties' request to move the expert deposition from January 14th to January 19th of 2022. Now, the reason? Well, it was reported to be scheduling conflicts. And let me pause and note, I did already cover that. I still don't think it's that big of a deal, and I stated as much because yes, technically it could delay the outcome of this case, but only if the outcome ends up being settlement, and it would only be by, 5 actual days, if so. Because prior to this happening, I don't think that they'd be moving on this anyway. And we're still waiting to see what the judge has to say about the fair notice defense. But outside of that, so again, since this part's pushed back 5 days, if there's going to be a settlement, yes, in theory, it could delay that by a short period of time. But outside of this, if this case ends up being fully adjudicated, this little delay here, it's not going to matter because the rest of the timeline for the court case has not moved. So anyway, just to be clear. Piece continues. In the meantime, however, crypto lawyer John Deaton, who is representing the interests of thousands of XRP holders, was a guest on the PBD podcast, and during his appearance, he shared his views on the case and the possible outcome for XRP investors. Now, Deaton first helped viewers catch up with the lawsuit's proceedings by reminding them of the arguments relating to the SEC's deliberative process privilege, or an agency's right to shield documents linked to its decision-making process. And by the way, so I did end up finishing this. I didn't get to watch the podcast as it was streamed live, but a little bit later that day, I was able to watch an hour and 15 minutes of it. Then later in the evening, another 15 minutes, and then the following day, I finished it up. It's like an hour and 55 minutes. It's a long one, but very good. And it was really interesting to see the 2 guys that John Deaton was talking to, their genuine astonishment, like jaw-drop moments, as John Deaton was just sitting there laying down facts and circumstances of the case. It is jaw-dropping stuff, the amount of evidence out there, and all the ass-hattery at the SEC, led by SEC dictator and supreme leader Kim Jong-Gary. It's crazy. Like, seriously, you'd think, based on the stuff that we're saying, if you didn't have proper context, you might think that XRP community members are freaking bonkers. But when you look at the case, we're not just being hyperbolic. It really is this bad. And so anyway, speaking to Patrick Bet-David, that's what PBD stands for, Patrick Bet-David, he said the following. So this is John Deaton here, and this is a quote. "It is the internal documents at the SEC. Their documents on Bitcoin, their documents on Ethereum. There's even a document dated June 13th, 2018 on evaluating XRP and whether it's a security, and the SEC has refused to turn any of those documents over. They're claiming they're privileged, and they're claiming they're privileged, Pat, even though they claim that they've never made an official declaration on Bitcoin or Ethereum. And isn't that mind-boggling? How the hell is it that you have the audacity to claim that that document about XRP dated June 13th, 2018, how dare you have the audacity to claim that that's privileged information while you're speaking out the other side of your mouth stating that there's never been an official declaration on Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP even? How the hell is it privileged if there's been no actual SEC deliberation? And so they're just throwing a bunch of crap at the wall like they always do, seeing what they can, trick the judge into, allowing to pass effectively. And so this document in particular, what do you think is in there? Now, mind you, so it's a document about XRP and its legal status, presumably, June 13th, 2018, the day before the Ethereum Free Pass speech that former SEC Director Billy Boy Hinman gave. The day before that was discussed. What do you think is in there? Because here's the thing: if the SEC said it's our official position that SEC is a security, why are they hiding it? That would strengthen their case. We've been saying this forever. Okay, if they're saying we don't know, that would harm the case, right? Right? Wouldn't it? And so maybe that's why they don't want this to come out. Why else would they keep this secret? If their final determination is what they're claiming it was, which is that XRP has always been a security, and that's what the SEC has always thought. Peculiar, is it not? Peace continues. Furthermore, Deaton disagreed with the idea that Ripple and XRP holders were working together. Claiming he had spoken to 60,000 people, Deaton argued that among first-time purchasers of XRP, and check this out, folks, 52.8% had never even heard of the company Ripple. 52.8%. He has evidence of this. I don't know specifically what it is, but that's incredible. How the hell can you claim that XRP, the nature of XRP existing by that, it's a security? How can you do that? It's completely obscene and absurd, and it harms people. That's what grinds my gears the most. It's harming actual investors, the same investors the SEC is sworn to protect. Peace continues. On the question of how the lawsuit might end, Deaton said the following, and here's another quote. At some point, Ripple could tap out and say, listen, we'll go with a certain designation. We can only sell to accredited investors now. There's ways to get around it. But I don't see it happening. I see it either settling, because of those rulings that come down, or it goes to verdict. Yeah, and so I think he's right on that too. Now, here's the interesting thing too. As far as Ripple, if they agreed to only sell to accredited investors, you got to understand, I don't think that matters. That's what they're doing anyway. They're not selling to retail investors. They happen to be selling to entities that are, as far as I know, exclusively in the realm of institutional, finance, legacy financial system companies, that type of stuff. And so they should pretty well already just be accredited investors anyway. And if there's an exception to that, okay, fine. But I don't imagine that something like that would necessarily harm their business model. So I don't know if they're going to even cede that ground regardless, but I don't think it would harm their business model either way. But yeah, in terms of how's it actually going to end, settlement seems much more likely, I would say. But if it goes to verdicts, what do you think the judge is going to say? The judge is intelligent. The judge is, both judges in the case, clearly intelligent women. I think they're going to come to the right conclusion because, like I've said so many times, if you're just a person who's unbiased, and they are, they don't have a dog in this fight, these judges. If you're just an unbiased person, I think anybody with a monkey with half a brain, if you just deliver the facts, will come to the same conclusion. Well over 99% of humans will come to the same conclusion. XRP itself, the nature of it existing, is not a security. And so Ripple's not going to settle unless there's some sort of protection for XRP indicating what it is with some sort of finality. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, has made very clear they're not going to settle outside of that. Anyway, he continues. Deaton concluded by citing that there was a previous case, one where a jury decided that a digital asset wasn't an unregistered security. So there you go. We'll see, man. Ass hattery continues. Now to the next piece from Finance Feeds. Oh my God, I'm telling you, this is burning my biscuits. All up in this bitch. SEC again postpones decision on 2 Bitcoin ETFs. Gary Gensler, for whatever reason, he thought that it made sense to allow for a Bitcoin futures ETF, but not an actual Bitcoin ETF. So with the Bitcoin futures ETF, which was approved, and I guess I'm glad we at least have that. There's no actual Bitcoin being purchased. There's no Bitcoin underlying this. With an actual Bitcoin ETF, there would be, which would impact supply and demand. and that would be good. The less Bitcoin available for trade on open markets, the more scarce it becomes, because there's more participants. And so we don't see that here. And so here, as we've seen, like I said at the outset of the video, again and again and again, because look, there's all sorts of entities for, like, I don't know, probably, I could probably a little over half a decade, all sorts of entities have been trying to get a Bitcoin ETF approved, and every time it comes to the deadline for when they're supposed to have a final verdict, then they kick the can down the road, say, we're going to extend it, and then maybe they extend it again, and then the final outcome is always, no, we're not going to do this. And it's just a bunch of bogus reasons. Because what are they saying? Like, there's too much fraudulent activity with Bitcoin, that type of garbage nonsense. It's completely ridiculous. So anyway, per an official document published by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the new deadlines to review 2 proposals have been shifted to February 2022, as the agency needs more time to review the potential rule change further. The SEC has extended its review of New York Stock Exchange's ARCA's actual Bitcoin ETF, named Bitwise Bitcoin ETP Trust, and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust's Bitcoin ETF. The regulatory body said in an extension notice that it would now give an answer on these proposals on February 1st and 6th, respectively. The only thing that would piss me off more is if, frankly, if Jay Clayton, the One River Bitcoin ETF that he's now supporting after denying ETF after ETF after ETF for years, the only thing that would piss me off more than this is if Jay Clayton's Bitcoin ETF were the first to be approved. I'd be like, what in the ever-loving hell is going on right now? Like, if that's the case, I trust in nothing on the planet anymore. That would be completely obscene. So hopefully that doesn't come. And then there's this from AMB Crypto. U.S. Fed chair says cryptocurrencies unlikely to disrupt financial markets. And it was interesting because I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that comes out of the mouth of Powell. But on this, there's a piece of this that definitely rings true to me, and I'll explain why. So check out this. In an environment filled with recurring regulatory FUD, the United States Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has shared a fresh perspective on how the cryptocurrency industry should be monitored and controlled. Speaking at a press conference to address the recent interest rate decision, Powell opined that cryptocurrencies don't pose a danger to the country's financial stability as of now. And pause. Like, he said that a number of times in the past, and right now that certainly is actually true. Now, there is a long-term threat, which they acknowledge. Like, he's actually acknowledged himself in the past, but of a cryptocurrency or cryptocurrencies replacing the United States dollar as the world's reserve currency. That's an actual potential threat. That could happen. The idea of that doesn't sound bonkers to me, but I don't think there's any sort of imminent risk of that happening, and he seems to think the same. And on that point, I do think he's actually right. But anyway, piece continues. However, he also added that the agency's focus should definitely be on monitoring cryptocurrencies. In response to a question by Wall Street Journal's Michael Derby, Powell expressed support for the conclusions of a report from the President's Working Group on Financial Markets, which was released last month. Notably, the report stressed the urgent need for stablecoin regulation through appropriate federal oversight reminiscent of banks. Treading along the same lines, the Federal Reserve Chair said the following, and this is a quote. And this is the part where I'm really thinking, I kind of agree with some of this. Check it out. You let me know what you think below, but I'll tell you what I think. Stablecoins can certainly be a useful, efficient, consumer-serving part of the financial system if they're properly regulated. Right now, they aren't. They have the potential to scale, particularly if they were to be associated with one of the very large tech networks that exist. And so look, I don't want onerous regulation, but I want well thought out regulation for the crypto space. And as it pertains to stablecoins specifically, I'm concerned. I know Bitcoin maxis like to pretend like there's no problem here with Tether, and maybe there isn't, but you don't know that. There are legit concerns out there about Tether because it doesn't seem that the Tether's backed one-to-one. Sometimes they've said that it is. There have been other times where they publicly stated it hasn't been. And so if it hasn't been, you're just printing these tokens and then using them to what? Purchase Bitcoin? And who's getting that? Like, you're artificially pumping up the entire crypto space in terms of price action globally if you're doing that. And so without these things, like, and this is where I would agree in a general sense. I'm now, are they going to do a shoddy job regulating? Yeah, probably. But I would, at a minimum, like to have these entities that are running these things. I'd like to have them audited. There needs to be some sort of sufficient level of transparency, and today there just isn't. So on that front, I actually kind of agree. But I just don't want the likes of Gensler and other bureaucrats the world over that don't like crypto. I don't want them suppressing the activity that's happening in the world of crypto. And so there was this short video clip. I'm not going to play it. I'll tell you a little bit about what I said here, but it's Gary Gensler and my fellow XRP YouTuber Crypto Eddie shared this. And one of the things that Gensler said in this clip is that annually, the United States pays somewhere between like $100 to $200 billion just for our payment system annually, $100 billion to $200 billion. And so it's somewhere between half a percent to maybe 1% of our economy annually, which isn't a huge percentage, but still that's a lot of money that's wasted, and you could pick up efficiencies, including, obviously, with XRP as a bridge currency in and out of the country, right? Of course, so domestically, no, you don't need XRP to move money like from United States dollar to United States dollar necessarily. I don't really see utility there, but converting from one fiat currency to another makes all the sense in the world. And so Crypto Eddie kind of hit the nail on the head here, and she wrote the following: Gensler, no doubt, put in as the white knight for the legacy banking system. God forbid we allow the fintechs to chip away at those fees with competition. Keeping solutions out like Ripple and XRP equates to financial crimes against the citizens. And amen. That's exactly what I need to heart that, actually. Yes. And so, he's doing this for his own selfish, his own personal reasons. Supreme dictator and leader of the SEC, Kim Jong-Gary. I'm not a fan. Have you picked up that? I'm really not a fan. I didn't think there's anybody that I would think is worse at this job than Jay Clayton, but he's worse. This guy is just devilish in the way that he's approaching all this, the entire world of crypto. It's entirely destructive. There is no path forward. He doesn't want a path forward. He just wants to hammer it. That's it. I'll go ahead and wrap up there, though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.